Love it or hate it, change is something you can't avoid. Like the Greek philosopher said, the only constant is change. I personally like change. It keeps life interesting, helps me grow as a person, it gives you new perspectives, and as a result, sometimes you can change your opinion. Like that opinion I had on the Brompton Electric.
I don't think this Brompton is necessarily for me. I'm perfectly happy with a normal Brompton. I don't need the electric assist. My journeys around Bristol are quite short. My commute's only 3.5k, and I cycle for exercise. So for all those reasons, the Brompton Electric doesn't make much sense for me.
And what a year for changes this has been for us all. Now, some changes are because of a decision you make. So a year ago, Nathan and I decided that we wanted to move further out from the center of Bristol. It's a pretty compact city, so you're never really far from anything. And my commute was only 3k, barely enough to break a sweat. So I wanted a longer commute for more time on my bike. Yes, I'm weird that way. And yeah, it turns out new builds in the UK have terrible soundproofing. So we also wanted a house that was a little quieter. So we moved, we found what we wanted. We are really loving our new place. My commute is twice as long, all the way downhill on the way to work and all the way up for a great workout on the way home. So we are enjoying it. It's quiet, it's leafy green where we are, and it's easy to get out for weekend rides in the country. So loving our change that way. But I soon realized, because we have less transport options in Bristol than I'm used to from London, I had to take the bus one day, and what is normally a 25-minute bike ride took me an hour and 20 minutes on the bus, which is crazy. So the Brompton Electric then became a lot more valuable. If I'm not feeling 100%, I can take the Brompton and, it just takes less energy and less effort. But I still mostly use my commuter tour, my good old Brody, because I still do like the exercise. But having the Brompton as an option and the electric assist is so valuable. It's also become really valuable for Nathan and I having two Bromptons in the house. It meant that when we went to Cardiff, we could park on the outskirts, tuck the Bromptons into the back of the smart car and avoid having to drive into the city centre. And you can explore so much more on a bike than by foot. I don't know about you, but my feet get tired so quickly when I walk, so it's come in really handy. Also on our trip to Oxford, we took them on the train with us and had a great time exploring Oxford on them. The only problem is deciding who gets to ride the electric. And then there are the changes you probably wouldn't choose and have no control over. One change that doesn't make me happy. The whites. I'm losing the battle with the whites. Today I'm seeking professional help, needing reading glasses. And for me, with COVID-19 in particular, it meant I no longer had a bike commute, and I really missed it. It messed with all my plans I had for my channel and all the cycling adventures I was planning to take you guys on last summer. But I actually am one of the lucky ones. I have outdoor space. Here in the UK, we were still, with limitation, allowed to get out on our bikes. So I overall consider myself to be very fortunate. And when change happens that's not your control, I think that's the best way sort of to handle it. Look at the good in it, accept it. Don't try to fight it if you can't do anything about it. Changes we don't choose are part of life. During lockdown, another unexpected thing happened. I got a new job. I wasn't looking. I got a call out of the blue, somebody looking for somebody to present for their YouTube channel. It was Pure Electric, you may have heard me mention it. And yeah, they wanted me to present for their channel, and they sell e-bikes and e-scooters. So yeah, my job became something I love, talking about and trying to convince people to get out of their cars and get around their cities in other ways than, in a car. And ironically, this change meant I had to learn how to drive. So after 13 years here in the UK, it was finally time for me to learn how to drive. Head office is on the outskirts of Glastonbury, which is 32 miles away. And it was time. And boy, am I glad I've been cycling for the past 6 years, because at least I know the rules of the road. Thank goodness I didn't have to go every day, but over time, and luckily the roads were quiet because of lockdown, so I got to learn how to drive on quiet roads, because they got busier and busier, and boy, there are some large lorries on some very small, narrow country lanes, and I will never be used to that. I don't think. I really, really find it difficult. If you've ever seen the movie with Cameron Diaz, she swaps houses, and she drives down a road and lorries coming the other way. That's exactly how I feel every day, at least once, if not numerous times going to work. Crazy, it's crazy driving here. A lot to get used to. And if you end up behind me, I am sorry. I drive like a granny. I'm still getting used to driving. My preferred mode of transport is still cycling, and I do stop for all the pedestrians when it's safe. So if you get behind me, I'm a granny driver. So the Brompton's been really useful for work as well. I had a shoot in London and I didn't fancy getting on the tube. I never do generally, but particularly with COVID I didn't. And I get really antsy in cabs in London because they move so slowly, so I didn't fancy going London to Stratford, pretty much all the way across London in a cab. So I brought the Brompton on the train with me and enjoyed the ride. It turned out to be a beautiful evening and I got to cycle through parts of London that I have lots of great memories of, and in my old neighborhood as well, and seeing how it changed since I've lived there. So, you know, traveling by bike is just a more immersive experience, I guess, and just at that pace that you can really see things. So I love cycling for many reasons, but that was a really handy, convenient way for me to get from A to B in London, and yeah, and it meant I didn't have to worry about being underground in COVID times. It's been a difficult year, and I'm sure when things change again and we have more freedom, we'll appreciate those little things that we used to take for granted. When things are different and you get a new perspective, sometimes opinions change. So my opinion on the Brompton has changed. I have a bit of a different situation, a different setup, and the Brompton has come in very handy, and the longer I've had it, the more useful it has become in my life. And so I can't imagine not having a Brompton Electric in my life in the future. It's just a really good transport tool. Brompton Electric is just another option that fits in really well. So many reasons, health and environment and all of that. I prefer cycling, and if the Brompton gets me out on my bike more, gives me another transport option that means I can cycle, you know, I'm happy. I love cycling, you know that. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong. The Brompton Electric is for me, and I look forward to many, many, many more miles on it. Now, some of you watching may have noticed there's a few changes on my Brompton, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned because I have a Brompton upgrades video coming. Since the Brompton is going to be in my life for a while longer, I decided to change a few things up, upgrade a few things, and I'll be sharing that with you in a video in January. Thanks for watching. Until the next video.